All right, good morning once again, guys. Standing out here on my porch. um, my dad and I are gonna go for a walk in a little bit. I got up probably about an hour and a half ago. So, yeah. So, so I'm trying to think of anything else I need to say. We're just about to go for a walk. That's about it. And it's March 20th, and that tree already has some buds on it. So, I mean, it's been a little bit warmer the last few days here, so I'm a little concerned that maybe what'll happen is that, they'll all start budding and then we'll get like some sort of big freeze, which I hope doesn't happen, but I would just wish that spring would come here. And so we've just been having our usual conversations about the whole situation right now. And, just sort of taking guesses, taking a stab at the possibilities for the future, especially when it comes to school and education and stuff. And tell you what, first got out here and it was nice. It was kind of cool, and it was not too cold out here, but not really even to the point where I would need anything more than my flannel shirt. And then then the wind really picked up, and I was like, "Ooh, shoot! I better go back to the car." So, I went and grabbed my coat, my varsity jacket, and so we're just about back now. And I'm gonna drive home just like I drove here. We're waiting here by the roundhouse because my mom went in to get food, and I drove here, and it was not fun. So. So I'll tell you what, I sure am getting hungry. That was like 5:30, and I need some food. Reagan, are you enjoying your high carb meal tonight?
No.
You're like,
There was macaroni hanging out of my mouth.
wow, nice. Man, I was so hungry. I didn't even get any sort of update. I just ate my burger.
I got the same update from Mr. Freestone.
All right, guys, what's up? It's Ryan here. I'm back, and I'm coming to you for your daily news update. First of all, one thing I wanted to say actually was, sorry that I haven't really been necessarily doing. I mean, I'd like to tell you that my life is more interesting right now, but it really isn't. It really isn't. I'm hoping tomorrow it's supposed to be, sunny at least. I don't know if it's supposed to be windy, but maybe I can go out for a paddle again tomorrow. That could be cool. Maybe I could do some more driving. And, stuff like that. Maybe go on a few little field trips out to the store or something. I mean, we can't really go out to dinner or whatever, but hey, it's just been a lot of just sitting at home, and that's why there hasn't really been too much to vlog about. But I do still like to do these just a lot for these news reports. And yes, I do have stuff actually on paper that I wrote down to look at here while I'm talking. But it's there are other I do like to do these like little news reports just so that I can look back on this and just sort of, and a lot of people that even watch my videos, I would say. I mean, not that a lot of people necessarily watch my videos, but so I'm sure some of the people that watch my videos don't even know some of this stuff. So, might be helpful to people. First of all, we've got a little conflict in our state. Well, actually, I'll start with the non-conflict part. U.S. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos today, she basically told everybody, you don't have to do standardized testing, which, I mean, in a year like this where we don't even know if we're going back to school, I mean, that's just like, I mean, everybody freaking hates standardized testing anyway, so it's just like, okay, let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. Probably a good move. I mean, well, definitely a good move, actually. In the opinion of many. I mean, if it were up to, honestly, many people, a lot of kids, we wouldn't even have standardized testing just because, I know that a lot of people are really of the mindset that school exists for the purpose of feeding you information so that you can remember it and then immediately forget it, just pass tests and stuff like that. But that's a story for another day. I don't really know exactly where I stand on that, but I mean, I've heard a lot of good arguments on either side of that, for and against standardized testing. But sorry, I've got a little bit off track here. Anyway, that's the main part of it. So by order of the education secretary, no more standardized testing for any. Well, I assume that applies to any state. Well, obviously not just Michigan, because it's coming from the feds. Now the conflict here at our state level. This was a memo issued by the deputy superintendent of schools in the state of Michigan. And she said, well, this was at about, I don't know, probably about noon today. She said, following the closure of all elementary and secondary school buildings on March 16th, 2020, pursuant to Governor Gretchen Whitmer's Executive Order 2020-5, Michigan Department of Education has received questions regarding instructional time during the school closure period. The purpose of this memo is to answer those questions. Let's see. May an ISD or LEA/PSA offer qualifying professional development for instructional time, blah, blah, blah. That's just stuff as far as like professional development for teachers. If an LEA or PSA can meet all requirements to transition to virtual learning, would the time during the mandated closure be counted as instructional time? And the answer, according to the deputy superintendent, would be no. There is no mechanism to earn instructional time during a period of mandated school closure. However, schools can and are encouraged to offer supplemental learning opportunities to students using distance learning methods they see fit. MDE will not be granting seat time waiver requests during this time. So that is basically, that's not coming from a perspective of this is what we want to happen. Like they're not telling people, they're not saying like, oh yeah, in our opinion, you should have to go to school until August. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that by current law, that's what the law would have you do. Now, and of course, if we're talking about going to school that long, June, July, however long, that could really screw up our summer plans. I really think that there's a very, very small chance of that actually happening, just because I think you're going to get a lot of angry parents, and the tourism lobby here in Michigan is actually pretty strong because of the fact, you've got a lot of up north towns that, they're like a lot of the people that man their parks and stuff like that, and you get a lot of people that come from down in the southern part of the state, that they're going up north, and so that's just going to completely wreck them if people are in school all summer. So I really don't think that's going to end up happening, and especially just because you wouldn't even be able to get your required days and hours anyway, because not enough people would even come. People would just leave on vacations, and but I really doubt that would actually happen, and especially because of this. This is the statement from the state superintendent, Michael Rice. He says, state law limits us in this situation not for an individual child in an individual cyber school or an individual virtual course offering, but for children across the state, many of whom have no computers at home, no connectivity, and no adults to monitor their learning and or technology. The state legislature should change state law to permit days out of school for this public health emergency to be counted as instructional days. Last year, the state legislature took similar action with the polar vortex January 29th to February 2nd. Under the current conditions, the legislature should make clear in law that the school year will not be extended into the summer. So that was the state superintendent. So when you pair that with what the deputy superintendent said, it makes it pretty clear that this is not like something that the entire Department of Education is saying, we want kids to go to school this long. That's just saying that state law says this, we have to follow this. And the fact that the state superintendent is actually there we go. Sorry, my phone just gave me a notification. The fact that the state superintendent is advocating for the legislature to change that, I think that makes it very, very, very likely that we're going to end up, well, at least excusing some of the days, which I think would definitely be beneficial. And later in the day, this was in response to the whole confusion, because, I'm sure within my house, I was getting pretty angry, because I was like, are you seriously telling me that I'm not going to get to go anywhere this summer? That would have really pissed me off, to be honest. But, so I was getting pretty angry to the point where my dad was like, how about we stay here for 10 minutes before we send you out driving? And I said, that's probably a good idea. Because, I thought this was a whole, like, they were actually just telling people this just to be annoying with it, like just to be like, ha ha ha, you gotta go to school. But so in response to all this, later tonight, Governor Whitmer sent out on Twitter. This was a tweet, and I'm just gonna read it off. And my mom sent this to my sister and I because, we were freaking out about it earlier, and as was everybody. A lot of people across the state. They were talking about it on the radio. She said in her tweet, earlier today, the Michigan Department of Education issued a memo that caused confusion and panic among schools, students, and teachers. Let me be clear, the memo does not mean that the schoolwork done during mandatory school closure won't count towards grades, credits, or graduation. And that was honestly one big thing that I was, sorry, my camera was sort of drifting up that way. That was one thing that I was sort of concerned about, because, I'm willing to work hard over this break here. I mean, obviously, just naturally, with the nature of everything, you're not going to have to work as hard just because, you're working from home. There's only so much you can really do from home. The second part of the tweet, she said, in the coming days, I'll be working to ensure that our seniors graduate and that no child is held back as a result of the COVID-19 school closure. I've got your back. We'll get through this together. And then she gave a link for the full statement. So that's something I really appreciate, just because I feel like no matter where you are, it's not a partisan issue at all, and that's why I deliver this news to you guys from a nonpartisan standpoint, because it's not a partisan issue at all. I give you things that Republicans and Democrats have done, and both sides of the political aisle are doing good things, and that's why, honestly, dare I say, that's one of the good things about sort of crises, is that how you say it? Crises like this, is, it's that we can really, both sides are putting out good, sensible solutions. It's just sort of like one side is supplementing the other, so it's like, where it's just sort of like, when you put them together, both sides have good ideas, and you put them together and you say, okay, we're gonna get through this, and that's one of those things that I think generally the government is doing a pretty good job, in my opinion, right now. Just as far as, before I was thinking that the whole closing restaurants thing was extreme, and I still think it's a little harsh, but I think it's not a huge deal. I do think that people are going a little overboard with the whole intervening with people's lives. Right now, in California, New York, and Illinois, they've basically told people to, I think in California at least, they threatened you with a misdemeanor if you went outside your house other than to get groceries or something like that, which that's just raises so many red flags for me. I think that's sort of where people draw the line, though. I don't think other states are going to follow that. Well, at least I hope not, because I can't stand being in here all day, guys. I need to go somewhere. But yeah, so lots of good things going on. A lot of good, solutions to these issues, I think. And as dysfunctional as government is, as dysfunctional as government naturally is, like it always is, I do think that this crisis has sort of pushed Congress and pushed, the president, and pushed each individual state, all governors, all state legislatures, to really come up with good solutions to things. So that's just my take on it. You all can have yours. Like I said, I'm never going to get political in my videos. So, let's see, what else am I feel like I'm forgetting something. Maybe I'm not. So, let's see. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. Other than, one good thing I've seen, too, is that, apparently, it's shifted in the last few days. Before, a majority of people disapproved of President Trump's response to all this. Now, a majority of people approve. So and it's not that, I would say the same thing for, I'm obviously, you guys can tell I'm not extremely partisan one way or the other. I've made that very clear, but I would say the same thing under, if I wasn't really, I couldn't really fully appreciate things, but if something like this happened, let's say under the Obama administration, if somebody said, "Oh yeah, I approve of that," I'd say good because I approve of that too. You know, because I mean, as far as response to, you know, crises and stuff like that, I mean, I don't really know that. I don't really know that there's been an administration in modern history that has really screwed things up so terribly bad that it's just like, you know. But I guess it's just generally a good thing to see that people, you know, well, to see the government succeeding and to see people happy that the government is succeeding. So that's just a good thing, I think. It's like I said, all partisan politics aside here, just you know. And I cannot make that more clear, guys, that I am not, I mean, I am never trying to be a partisan person in my videos. That's just a good thing that I saw, and I said, you know, it's a good thing, you know. And I've seen a lot of polls from just a lot of different states that say that say the same things about, like, okay, yeah, you know, this is actually going pretty good. You know, with like their governors and stuff, that you know, that they say, okay, I approve of the job that our governor is doing, and you know, it's always good. It's always good to see that, just because, you know, people can finally have faith in government, I guess. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. See you guys tomorrow. Brian out.